Hello, welcome back to Nails Before Films. Today, I'm technically reviewing an anime. That's right, I'm talking about Suicide Squad Isekai. Now, the series just came out and there were only 4 episodes at the time I was writing the script. So I'm just going to talk about what I think of the show so far. I'll probably do another video once the whole thing is finished. I'm more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan, and I've noticed that DC is really trying to tap into the anime manga industry in recent years. There was the weird Batman Ninja that came out in 2018. They also published quite a few manga with DC characters, including a weird one about Superman eating Japanese food. So, it came as no surprise to me when they announced an animated series that combines Harley Quinn, who's essentially DC's current poster girl, and isekai anime, a genre that has been quite popular for a while now. However, I wasn't particularly hyped for this project despite the good-looking trailer because none of DC's manga or anime really took off. Batman Ninja's design was really cool, but the movie itself was a mess. The mangas weren't particularly interesting either, so I was worried that Suicide Squad Isekai is just going to be another mediocre series trying to cash in on the expanding anime fandom. Anyway, now that I've watched the first 4 episodes, I have mixed feelings toward the series so far. On one hand, Suicide Squad Isekai does feel like a proper anime. It's not just DC with an anime skin. But on the other, it's just not very interesting so far. The basic story for the first 4 episodes is that Amanda Waller opens up an isekai portal and sends a team of Suicide Squad with Rick Flag to explore and possibly colonize the place. However, the first team betrays her and goes rogue, so she sends a second Suicide Squad including Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Peacemaker, Clayface, and King Shark. Unfortunately, they are captured by the Isekai's kingdom, which happens to be at war with the Empire or something. They run into Flag in the kingdom's jail, and to get back to the Isekai portal so that their bombs won't go off, all of them help the kingdom against the Empire, which is aided by the rogue Suicide Squad team. The story is fine so far, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with it as of now, but it's not really engaging either. I'm not dying to see the next episode. In fact, I might watch the rest once the whole thing is over. It doesn't help that the plot is dumb sometimes. For example, when Clayface gets out of their cell in episode 2, he could have just made a key with his ability and gotten all of them out. But he doesn't. And what's even more frustrating is that he does just that later in the episode. Why? Because it's funny? Because Clayface is a narcissistic asshole who only cares about movies? Surely, even Clayface would consider survival more important than dramatic effect. Shouldn't he let all of them out so that they can figure out how to prevent the bombs from going off? Besides, he's instantly the hero if he rescues all of them. Wouldn't that be dramatic as well? It just makes no sense. Also, how does the bomb work on Clayface? Can he just shapeshift and get the bomb off of himself? A simple explanation would be that they use the same constraining technology we saw on him in episode 1. Just have him try to shapeshift out of the bomb but can't because it uses that tech. This is an easy issue to solve, but you need to have some sort of explanation. Another thing that doesn't make sense to me is how Amanda Waller acts in this series so far. I think it's weird for her to send a Suicide Squad team first into an unknown world. For all she knows, there could be magic or something that could disarm the bombs, taking away her control over the Suicide Squad. Also, how does making the bombs time bombs help? From the looks of it, they don't know what disarmed the first team's bombs yet. So what if the second team manages to disarm the bombs within 72 hours? Amanda Waller usually only uses Task Force X when she has complete control over them. So it's weird that she would send them into an unknown place where she can't monitor them herself. I feel like it would be better to send in the military first, and once they establish bases and know the world better, send in the Suicide Squad for more dangerous jobs. Overall, I just think not much thought was put into the story. It's pretty generic so far. The isekai is typical too. Besides the story, the characters aren't very interesting either. Most of them are fine, but that's mainly because there's not much to them at this point. As much as Harley Quinn annoys me nowadays by appearing in almost everything, I think she's okay in Suicide Squad Isekai. I mean, she fits the crazy yandere bishoujo trope, so it's hard to get her character wrong. She's not that overbearing or annoying. Deadshot is okay, but nothing much is going on with him. Peacemaker is just a weird guy who keeps repeating peace, peace, peace. And King Shark is King Shark. None of them are terribly bad, but they're not complex either. The only character I really don't like is Clayface. He's just too over the top and annoying. I get that it's supposed to be funny, but it's really more annoying than it is funny. Also, at first, I was like, why does he look like freaking Muzan from Demon Slayer? I only discovered that he's supposed to be inspired by Michael Jackson in episode 4 when he did a dramatic turn. Then again, why? Michael Jackson was a singer, not an actor. Sure, he cameoed in a few things, but he was still more of a singer. Why base Clayface off of him? It's just another small thing in this series that doesn't make sense. I'm not terribly familiar with comic book Clayface, but I'm pretty sure this isn't his personality. The next complaint is a bit personal. Joker is my favorite DC villain, and I find Suicide Squad Isekai's Joker to be so out of character. First of all, what is this weird obsession with making Joker a twink? First, the terrible Suicide Squad game, and now this. I feel like Joker is just a bishonen with clown makeup in Suicide Squad Isekai, and I hate it. Also, his relationship with Harley should be an abusive one. It's weird to see them in a loving relationship. The main reason I find Harley Quinn to be an interesting character is that even though she's a villain, you feel somewhat sympathetic toward her because she's just a stupid girl in love with the wrong man. But by making their relationship a relatively healthy one, she's just not that intriguing anymore. And I just don't think Joker is the type of person who would fall in love with someone. Most importantly, I don't like how this version of Joker has some sort of goal of changing the world. Joker is supposed to be chaotic. He doesn't have any plans or goals. He does things simply because he feels like it or because it's funny to him. He doesn't care about the world, so I'm not a fan of the idea that he actually wants to make a change. Anyway, he's not that important so far, so I tolerate this Joker, but I really don't like this version of him. Lastly, I want to talk about the style and animation. Suicide Squad Isekai definitely has an anime aesthetic, and I would say it does look and feel like an anime. However, it's just very bland. The style is generic, it's what you think of when it comes to anime. The humor is pretty anime-like as well, but because this is Suicide Squad, I was expecting it to be more of a dark comedy. Instead, the humor is immature. The animation isn't particularly impressive either. Some of the fights are boring, like Harley's fight against Katana and the jail fight in episode 2. I honestly think the 4 episodes so far can be condensed into 3. The whole thing is just a bit slow. The Japanese dub is great, mostly because most of the voice actors are pretty famous and experienced. I don't know about the English dub, and I probably won't ever watch it in English. This is still technically an anime, so of course I'll watch it in Japanese. One last small complaint. I don't like how they keep referencing Warner's property throughout the show. Some of them are cute, like Harley watching a cartoon with a hamster or something, doing the infamous staircase dance from the Joker movie. However, there are also references that are shoehorned in there. For example, when talking about protagonists having weaknesses that make them likable, Clayface uses Tom from Tom and Jerry being afraid of Spike the dog as the example, which is weird. First of all, it's debatable whether or not Tom is the protagonist. Second of all, Spike isn't Tom's only weakness, and it's not what makes him likable either. This example is so weird and forced. You seriously couldn't come up with a better property to reference? As much as I just complained about Suicide Squad Isekai, I don't think it's terrible. You still kind of want to know what happened to the first team and how the world would end, but it doesn't keep you on the edge of your seat either. I would definitely finish the whole thing, but I probably won't watch it weekly. It's just not that entertaining so far. But at least it does feel like a proper anime. The worst thing that could happen, in my opinion, is that it's a half-assed attempt at mimicking anime. Hope you guys like my review and nails. Because this is only the first part of my review, I only did Harley. I'll finish the rest of the nails when I review the rest of the show. As always, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment, share, do what you want. Keep nailing it and be a go-getter, people.